And our subject today are evangelicals, because with Mike Huckabee vowing not to run in the 2012 campaign, who will evangelicals support? Will they sit out 2012 as millions of evangelicals did in 2008? And what role should pastors and their congregations play in trying to determine the outcome of the 2012 election? Dr. Robert Jeffress, pastor of First Baptist Church in Dallas, joins me now from the great state of Texas. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Lauren.
Well, Dr. Jeffress, you are a mountain of information in a lot of things, and I really wanted to ask you, basically, now that Mike Huckabee is out, because he was the evangelicals' choice in 2008. He won in Iowa. I mean, he really just came out of the block and captured that evangelical vote. But now, he said he's not going to run. And he was the evangelicals guy. Who would be the next best candidate for evangelicals?
Well, for full disclosure, Mike is a friend of mine. He did the foreword to my new book, and I was really disappointed to see him bow out, because I believe, Lauren, Mike Huckabee embodied the three criteria that evangelicals are looking for: commitment to biblical values, competency, and electability. And I think all three criteria are necessary. And now, quite frankly, after Mike is out, it's hard to find somebody who meets all three criteria. And it very well may be that in the end, evangelicals have to hold their nose and vote for the lesser of two evils.
Well, what would that be, hold their nose? What would be you brought up a can of worms there with the hold your nose and the lesser of two evils. What would be that? What would be that?
Well, for example, I think, I don't think conservatives, and by the way, I was on a conference call yesterday with 50 of the top evangelical leaders in the country talking about this issue. We are not going to support a candidate who does not have a long and strong commitment to biblical values like pro-life. These candidates who are either weak on that issue or are recent converts for convenience sake, I do not believe are going to receive evangelical support. And I think, and let me say very clearly, I am not a partisan, I'm not a pundit, I'm a pastor. I don't care what label the next president of the United States wears, whether it's Republican or Democrat. What I care about is this person committed to stemming the tide of ungodliness and evil that is sweeping our country? And, you know, I think Republicans better wake up and realize that if they don't have somebody who meets the three criteria I outlined, evangelicals may stay home. 30 million of them stayed home in 2008. Barack Obama won by 10 million votes. So they better select somebody who's going to energize the evangelical block of votes.
But what about the Mormon candidates? Obviously, you've got Mitt Romney, who is the front runner at this point, and he's more well-known than John Huntsman, but they're both Mormons. And that was one of the sticking points in the 2008 election for Mitt Romney, because evangelicals came out against anyone who would be a member of that church. Would evangelicals vote for a Mormon in 2012?
Well, Lauren, I made headlines in 2008 by saying that Mitt Romney was not a Christian. Mormons are not Christians, according to evangelical Christians. Now, he may make a fine president, but we better make sure that we understand if we vote for Mitt Romney, we're not voting for a Christian. And I thought it was pretty hypocritical of some of my fellow Christian leaders who, during the Bush administration, talked about how important it is to have a Christian in office, who suddenly turned around and were supporting Mitt Romney, saying we're electing a commander-in-chief, not a theologian-in-chief. I believe, as a Christian pastor, it is important to have a competent Christian in the White House, and the only situation I could see myself voting for a Mormon would be if he were strongly pro-life, if he were conservative, and in that case, it might be a case of holding my nose and voting for the lesser of two evils.
Okay, that means Mitt Romney is your lesser of two evils.
If it had to be, but I would sure hope that we could come up with a strong believer who, by the way, the only problem with the problem with Mitt Romney is not just his Mormonism, it's that he is, as somebody said, not just pro-choice or anti-choice, he's multiple choice. He's been all over the map on the abortion issue. I believe evangelicals want somebody who has a long and strong record of supporting these values that are very important to us.